Welcome to Friday morning. It is 5 a.m. on August the 25th. Here's a live look at the North Liberty City Cam to open up the day cool and crisp once more here on this week. We've seen this all throughout the week.
Feels like football weather.
Yes.
And just in time, I suppose, because our first Friday Night Lights comes up this evening. Weather's going to be fine for that, with temperatures quickly dropping into the 60s at that point. We'll have dry weather as well. But for the time being, we're seeing a little bit of light rain passing by parts of the area. Aside from that, it's a fairly quiet morning. Here's a look at pinpoint Doppler radar as we see some of those scattered areas of green across eastern Iowa. Bulk of these are moving off toward the east and southeast. We're seeing some of these approaching Manchester and Elkader, up toward Lansing as well. A few of these nearer south of Iowa City, passing off toward the east. 58 right now in Cedar Rapids, 61 Iowa City. We're 57 in Dubuque and 59 in Waterloo. So some scattered showers are a possibility, mainly over the next couple of hours. After 7 a.m. they become much more sparse in nature. Mostly cloudy skies otherwise this morning, turn partly cloudy later on today. We'll begin the day in the upper 50s with afternoon highs around 75 degrees, pretty close to what we had yesterday.
Yeah, looks a little like fall.
It really does.
Okay, thanks, Justin. National Hurricane Center says this morning Hurricane Harvey has strengthened to a Category 2 storm. Here's the current wind speed right now. Looks like it's moving northwest at about 10 miles per hour, so pretty slow, with wind at 105 miles per hour, a big change from yesterday morning. It's expected to grow to a Category 3 storm by the time it makes landfall early tomorrow morning. Highways in Texas are filled with cars as people along the coast get out of Harvey's way. Schools are closed with mandatory and voluntary evacuations in place. They're expecting a storm surge combined with 30 to 35 inches of rain possible, creating dangerous flooding. In San Antonio, the mayor already issued a local disaster declaration.
We just received an update from the National Weather Service, and they are telling us that the storm has the potential, and I want to stress potential, things do change, to be a weather event that we talk about for years to come.
The governor of Texas activated 700 members of the Texas Army, State, and National Guard to help with evacuations.
In a TV9 update, the Cedar Falls City Council will soon hear bids for construction of a flood control levee. This week, the city approved plans and the specifics for the levee project. It involves raising the current levee by about 2 feet. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers approved the plan in June after a long review process. The project will cost $5.6 million. Construction could start this year and will take about 2 years to complete.
Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is asking for a federal disaster declaration for 11 western counties with flood damage. Those counties include Crawford and Grant. Severe storms moved across eastern Iowa and western Wisconsin in July. The declaration means counties could recover up to 75% of their cleanup costs through FEMA's Public Assistance Program. FEMA estimates the storms cost more than $10 million in damage to those counties in Wisconsin.
Rebuilding efforts are still taking place in Northern California at the Oroville Dam. Heavy rain back in February caused erosion and a concrete failure to the Lake Oroville emergency spillway. This is north of Sacramento. Oroville city leaders now demand federal oversight in the rebuilding process. Construction workers are rushing to rebuild the spillways, so this will all be ready to handle water flow for the next flooding season.
Demolition and excavation is 100% complete. For the 2,270 feet that will be reconstructed this year, the rock foundation cleaning is in its final stages.
The California Department of Water Resources says the dam remains safe and fully operational. The damage, though, led to the evacuation of more than 100,000 people out of fear that water from the dam would flood neighboring cities.
America's enemies must never know our plans or believe they can wait us out. I will not say when we are going to attack, but attack we will.
The president recently promised that he's sending more troops to Afghanistan, but long before that announcement, families in eastern Iowa prepared to say goodbye to a National Guard unit based out of Waterloo as part of Operation Enduring Freedom. This morning, those families will be in the crowd during a send-off ceremony for 35 members of the 211th General Support Aviation Battalion. TV9's Alicia Tarancon joins us live from the Waterloo Army Aviation Support Facility. Alicia, does this unit know yet where they will serve?
Not quite yet. So after the send-off ceremony, this unit will be making their way to Fort Hood, Texas, where they will do 6 to 8 weeks of training. And then from there, they'll go on to their next mission. Now, I'm joined here live with Colonel Greg Hapgood. And Colonel Hapgood, can you just tell me a little bit about the overall emotion that some of these soldiers are feeling this morning?
Sure. I think it depends if they're an experienced soldier who's mobilized before, if it's their first time. A big difference in emotion. Certainly, the families feel a great deal of pride as well as the soldiers. There's a lot of love in the room, but, there's also some trepidation. People don't know what's going to happen. It's fear of the unknown in some respects. But I think, good leadership and good communication can overcome those fears.
And we do know that this unit did deploy back in 2012 before. We have some new veterans that are going to be here and some returning one. Is that correct?
Yeah, the unit has a mix of first-time deployers and those that have deployed at least once or more. You're talking about approximately 35 soldiers. Everybody's got their story, if you will. Certainly an interesting mix, whether it's about age or, males or females or whoever it is. But the unit has a great cohesiveness.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Colonel Hapgood. And again, there will be a send-off ceremony that'll take place today at 10 a.m. and that'll be right here at the Waterloo Army Aviation Support Facility. And again, that'll be at 10 a.m. and they're encouraging everyone to come down and support the troops down here. I'm reporting live in Waterloo. Alicia Tarrant-Kahn, KCRG-TV9 News.
Years after his service in Vietnam, the U.S. Air Force honored a veteran for his work and sacrifice. Doyce Bailey of Cedar Rapids finally has the medals he earned in Vietnam.
He served as a staff sergeant in the U.S. Air Force. The military recognized Staff Sergeant Bailey with several awards, including the U.S. Air Force Outstanding Unit Award with Valor and the U.S. Air Force Commendation Medal. Bailey, who is 71, says many of the medals came through the mail, but he called the commendation the crown jewel of his awards. He feels people do appreciate his service.
I feel like a kind of a weight is off my shoulder now, having carried those 12 months experiences in my mind and hidden from virtually everybody, including family. And
Senator Joni Ernst presented the medals to Staff Sergeant Bailey yesterday.
We could soon learn more about President Trump's proposed transgender military ban. The Wall Street Journal reports the White House will send guidance to the Pentagon on the ban in the coming days. The newspaper reports President Trump wants the military to stop admitting transgender people. And for current troops, the Pentagon should consider a service member's ability to deploy before deciding whether to expel him or her. The White House has not commented on the report, but President Trump listed tremendous medical costs and disruptions as reasons for the ban. The Iowa Democratic Party responded to this, saying Trump's transgender military ban comes from a place of fear and hate. There is absolutely no way to justify this unprovoked attack on the rights of brave Americans who just want to serve their nation.
Dubuque police say a city employee discovered racist graffiti along Dubuque's flood wall. There was a racial slur and KKK written on the wall facing the river. KCRG-TV9's Allison Wong reports on how police say they could have a hard time finding out who did this.
Lieutenant Scott Baxter with the Dubuque Police Department says the graffiti could have been on the wall for up to a month because the area doesn't have cameras, nor does it see a lot of foot traffic. This is where a city employee found the graffiti while pulling weeds. It's now gone, but Baxter says the message is still clear. He believes whoever did it would have had to access the wall by boat or by climbing down these rocks. The Dubuque Human Rights Commission held a special meeting to discuss the incident. They all agree they're saddened by it and would like to see city leaders take more action in confronting these issues. Commissioner Anthony Allen says they still have a lot of work to do.
Hate never sleeps, so it's up to us to always be, alert and be on guard to know that it may happen at any time in any community.
The commission specifically called on the city council and school board to take more action against racism. Baxter says they have limited leads because of where this happened. In Dubuque, Allison Wong, KCRG-TV9 News.
In April last year in Dubuque, police say someone burned 2 crudely made crosses near Washington and 22nd Streets. Police have not made any arrests in that case.
This is video out of California where you can see crews working to save a man who fell off his boat. Rescuers say they found the man floating in the Pacific Ocean yesterday after a large wave threw him from his boat. His boat was 2 miles away from spinning out of control. Rescuers say it's hard to find people stuck in the ocean.
It is so difficult to find somebody out in the middle of the ocean. It is such a large area. It's really finding a needle in a haystack.
Without a life jacket on, the man found another way to try to stay afloat. He took his flip-flops off and used them as paddles to tread water. Thankfully, he wasn't hurt. A North Liberty pumpkin patch says it's part of a beautiful partnership.
The owners say that bees are good for their business, and the patch is a healthy habitat for the insect.
We see some light scattered rain showers pushing by early this morning. A few hundredths of an inch of rain are possible from these, but they're not going to last all day. Pinpoint Futurecast is coming up after this.
And before we go to break, here are your opening farm markets for today. It's now 5:10. Good morning.